go to the gym and you start getting a bit of shoulder pain. It keeps getting worse and worse, and it just doesn't seem to be able to settle. Things even around the normal daily stuff that you do, like even just cleaning a window, is too painful to even apply any pressure. You go to the doctors, you get it checked up, and then you're diagnosed with osteoarthritis. This is something that you'd think you won't get until you're old. Purpose of this video today is to tell my story of what I've been through and how I've adapted to manage to be able to continue to train and actually improve and manage the pain that I have. I'll also talk about what exercises I have used, what I've taken out, how I've had to change my mindset around training, and the few bits that I've learned about osteoarthritis. So I'm not a doctor or a physio, always get checked out by one of those, but this is what I've done. It's really helped me. Hopefully you'll be able to take something away and it will help you. So let's start with what exactly is arthritis. There's two types, there's osteoarthritis and there's rheumatoid arthritis. And it's essentially a condition that causes pain and stiffness in the joints. Osteo is degeneration of cartilage and the joints and the bone, generally through wear and tear, which is what I've got in my right shoulder. It's right in the AC joint. Whereas rheumatoid arthritis is a chronic inflammation in the joints caused by your immune system attacking it. So it's an autoimmune disorder. So we won't be covering that one. We're just going to be covering osteoarthritis and what I've done. So I've been trying to chase this for a couple of years now. It's been a lot of appointments to get to this stage. So the other day I went to Bury St Edmunds Hospital, which is a little bit further than my local hospital, but it had the shortest waiting list and I had the option because I'm fit and healthy. Anyway, so today's appointment is to see what the next step is. I've had an ultrasound and I've had a guided steroid injection. Let me just quickly jump in here. So first, I had two non-guided steroid injections from my GP in my right shoulder. Both of those did absolutely nothing, no improvement whatsoever. Then I got referred, and this took a while to get referred, but I got referred and I got referred for an ultrasound with a guided steroid injection. This did make a very small change to the pain, but still not really anything significant. So the next option is to go for decompression surgery or to go down that route. And that is the purpose of the trip, and I'll tell you the outcome of that and what I think, well, what I am going to do. And now I'm going for to find out whether I need the operation, which, because the steroid injection hasn't done anything and the physio hasn't really made much improvement to my overall mobility in it, pain has been managed pretty well actually through my own exercise and my adaptations. So what many of you will want to know is, what adaptations did I do and what sort of training can I still do, and is there anything I can't do anymore, and how can it help you? So we'll come on to that, but before I go into the exercises and what I changed, you need to know this bit first. This is really important, and I don't think I would have made any progress without this first. Probably the mindset around this has been the hardest part of it all, really. I did get very down and beat up about it in the early stages. It's the mindset, and what I mean by that is you have to accept some things, and I didn't want to accept any of it at the beginning. I thought, right, well, if I can't do bench press and I can't do shoulder press, what can I do? Does that just mean I can just train legs all the time? It just felt like I was just going to wither away. But that hasn't actually happened. I've managed to put on muscle over the last 12 months. I've managed to incorporate some of the lifts that I couldn't incorporate before. And that was accepting that at the beginning, you're going to have to pull back. And there's things that have got to change for you to be able to move forward. And it might feel like it's never going to happen. But I can tell you now, I can bench press again without pain. I can shoulder press without pain. And I still have to adapt and I have to listen to my body. But it can be done. And if I can do it, I'm pretty sure you can do it too. So because I'm a fitness coach, I do have my own home gym, which is fantastic. But if you're a member of a gym and you have problems with your shoulder, then you need to find a gym that has these three pieces of equipment, because these were significant in my recovery. So the first one is, some people call this a football bar. Some people call this a safety squat bar. Safety squat bar, they don't call it that at all, but we'll get onto that. Swiss bar, that's what they call it. A football bar or a Swiss bar. Now, don't do what I did and get the one that weighs 31 kilograms, because that's damn heavy to start with. You can get them at 20 kilograms and you can actually get them less than that as well. But the purpose of this is that you can change the grip, and that influenced the space in the AC joint, which was enabled me to still be able to press The only thing I couldn't do is if you press and then you try and have a shrug at the top, I couldn't do the shrug at the top, and I still can't do that shrug at the top. But yes, a Swiss bar, brilliant. I'll come on to that and I'll show you how I use that in a second. The next piece of equipment, and I just touched on that, is a safety squat bar. And a lot of people will think, well, why will it affect my squat? Because when you get in a barbell back squat, we have to pull our shoulders back, and some people can't get that back and pull back in nice and tight. So with a safety squat bar, we're holding out in front, it takes all that pressure off your shoulder, makes things a lot more comfortable. And then most gyms have this, a landmine. So a landmine, and I'll show you an exercise on that as well, to change the angle in which you're pressing, so you're not pressing straight up. But before you jump in and start pushing and trying to lift the weight that you were doing before, and if your shoulder is as bad as mine was when it was at its worst, and this is how bad it was, if I woke up in the night and I needed a drink of water, where I'd normally just be able to reach out and grab a drink of water, I had to use my other hand, my good arm, to lift and support the weight of my arm to pull it back and then take a drink, because my shoulder was it was that sore, just getting a drink was impossible. I had to make a decision. How am I going to train? The first thing I did, and this was the hardest thing, was I took out all bench press. I couldn't bench press. Bench press seemed to be the biggest trigger. Now you'd think shoulder press, but it was bench press that really triggered my shoulder. And I didn't bench press at all or do any chest press type movement for at least 3 months. Now you think, oh, 3 months, I'm going to lose all my muscle. Well, you don't grow any more muscle really, but you don't lose as much as you think. And as soon as you can accept that, the quicker you'll recover, which means you'll be able to get back to doing some form of pressing movement. I got to the point where I was able to incorporate push-ups. And I did push-ups on parallettes, and I'll show you those as well. And if you can't get parallettes at the gym, then you can use a couple of dumbbells, but you should never train to loads of pain. So I used the gauge of 1 to 10, and my pain threshold, if it felt like more than a 2, 3 max out of 10, then I would stop the exercise and I'd try and find an alternative. Or I'd have to remove it altogether. So let's show you some of the exercises that I did. Okay, so normally I would never get in and out of a rack like this because it's not safe, but my camera, the depth, I won't be able to film it, I would just have my back to you. So you don't have to have a cambered bar, it can just be a straight bar, and we've got various different positions in which you can hold the bar. So I took what would be called the neutral grip, and you can do this with dumbbells as well, but I found that having one straight bar I was able to take some of the support with the left arm, which was better. So this is damn heavy because it's 31 kilograms and I haven't even got any weight on there. And it is important that we try and keep those elbows and the forearms in a really straight vertical line, pushing up and then coming back. But I couldn't shrug at the top and then control it back down. Now you might find with this, it feels very wobbly compared to a straight bar, but I was able to press. That's the main thing. The alternative, if you don't have one of those in the gym, would be to use dumbbells, and then hold those in the neutral position, but following the same path, pushing up. Now, if you can't push up in a straight line because you can feel it catching, then that's when I would use a landmine, and I'll show you that one. So we're going to be landmine pressing, and as you can see with a landmine press, we push at more of an angle. So we do hit a little bit of the upper chest as well, but it just gives a bit more space in the shoulder to not catch. But we can still get some shoulder work done with a landmine press. You can do this kneeling or you can do it standing. This is probably the kindest one on the shoulder than the Swiss bar. So that is an alternative as well. And then of course the safety squat bar. Now I wouldn't ever get in and out of the rack like I said like this because it's not safe, but for the purpose of showing you, and the rack's a little bit low as well. But yeah, we're just locked in, sinking it down nice and low. See you later. And then back again. So yeah, that works really well too. So these little things, these tiny adjustments mean you're still able to train to some degree. But like I said, the biggest problem was bench press. And even now I still have to adapt it. Now I can't flat bench press anymore. So I have to take it just to the lowest angle. And that slight angle in the bench is enough to not give me any pain in the shoulder. Now I can bench press with a straight bar, but to start with, after I'd done the parallel push-ups, I was bench pressing with dumbbells, and let me show you how I did that. I wouldn't bench press out this, flaring my elbows. I'd try and keep my elbows in, and I'd always keep the dumbbells at a 45-degree angle and then coming back down again. Come into the depth that you feel comfortable. You might at the beginning not be able to get all the way down deep. Now, range of motion is very important, but if you've got a shoulder injury, you can only train to your range of motion at that time, and that is okay. Don't care what people think when they're looking at you, if they're going, oh, he's not even doing it properly. They don't know you've got a shoulder injury. Yeah, just ignore them. So these are the parallettes. Now, I did find this a lot easier, and I think that's because it made sure that I could have my hands in a neutral position rather than in this position. So it just seemed to make a huge amount of difference to my shoulder. So give it a go. But we could get a nice decent depth of range in here as well, so we could get it nice and deep. It didn't aggravate the shoulder, and then back up again. Now, I can't emphasize this enough. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to get straight into this. You might have to take a considerable amount of rest away from pressing movements before you can start bringing this back in gradually. If you haven't got hold of these, then like I said, you can use a couple of dumbbells, and it keeps that grip in the same position, getting down nice and low, and then back up again. Now, I'm not going to say that's completely pain-free. I'd say maybe I get a 1 out of 10 on occasion, and I haven't warmed up to demonstrate any of this. So what is very important is that you take time to warm up your shoulders. Face pulls, things like that that are really going to activate and get the synovial fluid around the joints in your shoulder and the blood in the muscle, and maybe slightly longer than you have done before. Anyway, let's go back to the studio, see how I got on with the consultant, and then yeah, pop any questions that I haven't covered in the comments below. I'm more than happy to answer. I'm pretty sure that the consultant's going to say, yes, you need an operation, let's get you booked in. So let's go and see her, see what she says. So what did the consultant say? She said, you need to have surgery. So I'm on a 12-month waiting list now. I'm going to have shoulder decompression surgery, which is basically shave away the spurs on the bone that are catching on the tendons, basically. There's a potential that there wasn't anything significant with the rotator cuff when they did the ultrasound, but they said they can't always tell, so when they go in, if there's any repairs to that, then they will do that as well. Now, I don't think there is, because I've made such a big improvement, and it just catches on occasion, and I've got no external rotation, but the rest of it is, works pretty well. If there is repairs to the rotator cuff, then that means quite a long recovery. You're talking 3 months without being able to do anything with the arm. If it's just the shaving of the bone, then the recovery should be pretty quick. I think that after 6 weeks, I'll be back lifting stuff to a reasonable weight again. So hopefully you found this useful, and there's things you can take away and action yourself, and hopefully makes you feel that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I'll do a follow-up video once I've had the operation, but there is something that we all need to do to make any progress in the gym, regardless of whether we have a dodgy shoulder or not, and that's what these 3 people do, and I'll tell you what that is in this video here.